The girl I secretly adored in college became my wife through an arranged family marriage. I threw her the most extravagant birthday party and provided her with the most luxurious material comforts, wanting to make her the happiest woman in the world. Yet there she was, wearing the designer gown I gave her, dancing for her male assistant. When I confronted her, she only said with reddened eyes, "He took me drinking, to clubs, to enjoy a life of indulgence, the kind of life you could never give me." When delivering the meeting documents to Chloe Miller, her office door was slightly ajar, and soft laughter could be heard from inside. A faint smile curled at my lips as I adjusted the flowers I'd picked up along the way. Yet there was Chloe, leaning close to her new male assistant as he whispered something in her ear. It made her laugh uncontrollably, and the noises outside the door immediately put distance between the two of them. The assistant nodded politely at me before walking away on her own. Chloe, however, was still rather awkwardly smoothing out her disheveled hair. Then she put on a well-mannered smile. "What brings you here all of a sudden?" I glanced back at the male assistant's retreating figure without answering Chloe's question. She cupped my face firmly with both hands, puffing out her cheeks in a coquettish manner. "Don't overthink it. That assistant just graduated, he was telling me corny jokes earlier." I ruffled her hair with tender affection in my eyes. I've been married to Chloe for 5 years, yet she remains just as naive and radiant as ever. Listening to Chloe's latest piece of gossip from who knows where, I quickly put the day's affairs out of my mind. Or perhaps I never cared to begin with. Chloe was raised with elite education from childhood. Though she's always relied on others, her standards have forever been exceptionally high. There's an inherent arrogance in her bones. It was impossible for me to swallow my pride, yet what unsettled me that day was borrowing Chloe's laptop. Her computer password had always been our wedding anniversary date. But this time, none of my attempts worked. "Chloe, did you change your password?" Resting my head in my hands, I stared at the screen before me as my unease grew. Chloe seemed to have prepared her response in advance and blurted it out without hesitation. "Life always needs a sense of novelty. The password is 1127. I unlocked the computer but found nothing unusual. 1127, is that some important date? I didn't turn around, but I could sense Chloe's silence. Footsteps sounded behind me as she looped her arm through mine and obediently planted a kiss on my cheek. "It's nothing particularly special anyway, just something I happened to see online. Don't overthink it." Chloe's explanation sounded rather feeble to my ears. After being married to her for this long, I knew perfectly well she never changed passwords lightly. Because she had always had a bad memory, last time I set a complicated password on the door lock, she couldn't remember it and got angry with me. Once a seed of doubt is planted, it takes root and sprouts. Apart from the work at hand, I spared some attention for Chloe. Chloe's parents had always been rather traditional in their thinking. They believe girls should be docile and sensible, but Chloe's education hasn't brought about much change in her so far. Yet she seemed different from usual, dressing more boldly now. I recalled her recent words, how she kept mentioning the thrill of novelty, making the most unwelcome possibilities surface in my mind. 3. My marriage with Chloe was arranged by our families. The Carter and Miller families have always maintained a long-term partnership, and my union with Chloe will solidify this collaboration further. Perhaps from Chloe's perspective, I'm merely the most suitable marriage candidate rather than the one she truly desires. The sudden notification on my phone snapped me out of my drifting thoughts. I just got news about that matter I had asked my associates to investigate earlier. Inside was information about that assistant. His name is Leo Vance, whose academic qualifications fell far below the hiring standards, but it seems someone internally recommended him. His private life is rather messy. He frequents nightclubs and bars year-round, with street racing being his daily hobby. Frowning, I flipped through the documents in my hands, growing increasingly convinced that Chloe's recent mood changes were because of Leo. I looked up at Chloe, who had just come out with freshly washed hair. "Lately, she's been talking to me less and less. You've been getting a bit too close with your assistant recently." Hearing my words, Chloe's hand, which had been drying her hair, froze briefly before she casually replied, I want to build good relationships with my employees. What's the matter? I told you when I handed this company over to you that you need to thoroughly investigate people's backgrounds before hiring them." When I couldn't help but remind Chloe, she simply threw her bath towel onto the sofa. She glared at me with icy eyes, her impatience barely concealed beneath the surface. "So what, Ethan Carter? Are you trying to tell me I'm just some accessory attached to you? Can't I even make decisions about my own employees?" Chloe's words came across as aggressive, as if she were venting all the pent-up resentment she'd been harboring toward me. I slightly parted my lips, but the words I wanted to utter stuck in my throat. "That's not what I meant." The only response I got was the sound of the door slamming shut. Chloe and I have been arguing more frequently in recent years, especially when I mentioned wanting a child. It felt like touching a raw nerve with her. Every time she gets angry, I have to spend even more time trying to console her. Even my younger brother, Noah Carter, often mocks me about it. I'm afraid one day if Chloe throws a tantrum threatening to live or die, you'd give her the entire Carter family fortune. But in my eyes, Chloe deserves all this from me. 4. Chloe and I entered a cold war. No matter what I tried to discuss with her, she'd respond with sarcastic remarks. Since you always get to decide everything, just handle it yourself. As if deliberately trying to provoke me, she refused my rides every time she returned from work. Instead, she came back daily on Leo's motorcycle. Whenever I looked down from the window, I could see Chloe's contented smile as she removed her helmet. Yet the moment she stepped inside, all I received was her cold indifference. I couldn't communicate with Chloe, so I had to resort to another method. The company Chloe worked for was actually a subsidiary of the Carter family, and most of the Carter family's assets ended up in my hands after my parents passed away. There happened to be a troublesome project at hand. I admit I had personal motives, which is why I assigned this project to Chloe. As expected, Chloe came to confront me soon after. Her face flushed with anger, she slammed the proposal onto my desk. Her eyes were slightly bloodshot, as if she'd been crying for a long time. You knew perfectly well I couldn't handle this, yet you still dumped it on me. Ethan Carter, have you always looked down on me deep down? I flipped through the documents she threw down. There were no substantive complete plans inside. It wasn't that Chloe lacked the ability to finish them, she had just instinctively relied on me. I had given her many chances to soar high, but she was always afraid of making mistakes and turned to me for help every time she faced difficulties. Chloe, seeing my silence, softened her tone and leaned closer to me. Just help me this once, okay? But after achieving my goal, I didn't feel as happy as I'd imagined. It seems that communication between Chloe and me had been reduced to her asking for my help. Fine, I agreed in the end, but I also made a request of her in return. 5. Chloe's birthday is coming soon. I plan to use this celebration to lift her spirits. I also want to prove to her that what I can give her, others might not be able to match. The birthday party was elaborately decorated, even with media invitations. I even invited the pianist Chloe has always admired to celebrate her birthday. I want to prove to everyone that Chloe is the treasure I hold in the palm of my hand. Let her become the object of envy. I've invested so much in this birthday party, pouring all my energy into it. Only when I came to my senses did I realize Chloe seemed to have been staying out for several nights. She never replied to any of my messages either. This made my heart grow frantic with worry. I gave her a phone call, and Leo answered. Hello? Who is it? Ms. Miller isn't available right now. Hearing Leo's voice sent a chill through every limb of my body. I tightened my grip on the phone, staying silent for a long while. Hello? Leo was starting to get impatient, but Chloe swiftly took the phone away. Did you need something? I'm still at the office. I closed my eyes momentarily to calm myself, trying to keep my tone even as I asked. You promised me, didn't you? Last time Chloe had begged me to help her out of a tight spot, and I'd made her agree to one condition. That condition was for Chloe to get herself a new assistant. To her credit, she'd agreed without hesitation. But I never expected that after all this time, Chloe would remain inactive. Is this the only reason you called? The voice on the other end of the line gradually turned icy. Do you want to remind me every second that I can't live without you? Ethan Carter, must you be this selfish? Leo's work performance is excellent, and he suits my needs perfectly. I absolutely won't replace him. Her tone grew increasingly urgent, cutting me off every time I tried to explain. If you're determined to remove Leo, you might as well take the company back. After all, you make all the decisions here, big and small. Before I could respond, the dial tone buzzed in my ear. Exhausted, I sank into the sofa. I hadn't slept properly for days while preparing Chloe's surprise, but the gap between us kept growing wider, leaving me with a sense of helplessness. After hesitating for a while, I sent Chloe a text message. Your birthday is coming up soon, and I've already prepared everything. That dress you liked last time has also been custom-made and will be delivered to your company in a couple of days. The event is at 7 in the evening 3 days from now. I look forward to seeing you in that dress. The message was successfully sent, and my heart was still pounding a bit too fast. Just thinking about how surprised Chloe would be made me feel like all this effort wasn't in vain. I firmly believe Chloe's current attitude is just because she's still mad at me. We still have a long road ahead of us. 6. The flashing lights of media cameras burst around me at the party. I can already imagine what tomorrow's headlines will say. Mr. Carter really spared no expense for Mrs. Carter. Many people started striking up conversations with me, but I kept glancing at my watch. But the party's been going on for quite some time now. Why haven't we seen Mrs. Carter yet? A skeptical voice arose from somewhere, followed by onlookers starting to jeer. The pianist I invited had already played piece after piece, yet Chloe was nowhere to be seen. Bro, what's going on? Noah suddenly ran over and quietly asked. Grandma asked me to come ask you, where's Chloe? I took out my phone and saw the messages I'd sent Chloe still hadn't been answered. I forced a smile. Tell Grandma not to worry. Chloe just had something come up suddenly. She might not be very comfortable in this kind of setting. If you ask me, you spoil Chloe too much. And yet Grandma still spoils her like this, Noah grumbled, turning away to placate the restless guests on my behalf. I immediately retreated to a deserted corner and began dialing Chloe's number, call after call. yet each attempt rang unanswered. The flames of anger slowly spread through my chest. All thoughts of the ongoing party vanished from my mind as I turned on my heel and strode toward the car door. The sharp-eyed media caught sight of me leaving in a hurry and began frantically chasing my car to take photos. I knew exactly where Chloe was now, ignoring my messages, playing this vanishing act. But the only place she could possibly be hiding was the company I'd gifted her. I pushed the speedometer to its limit, arriving at the company building in under 10 minutes. I had taken care of all company matters long before preparing for the birthday party. Chloe had no reason to stay here any longer. All the lights in the company were turned off, and the sound of busy phone signals echoed through the empty space. Chloe's office was also dark, but flickering candlelight could be seen. Her door was firmly closed, yet the curtains hadn't been drawn across the window. The moment I laid eyes on her, all hope vanished from my gaze. Today is Chloe's birthday, yet she and Leo had arranged a candlelit dinner for themselves at the office. The gown Chloe was wearing was custom designed by the world's top designer, commissioned by me at great expense. On her finger still rested the diamond ring from our wedding day. Leo sat on the sofa like a superior, forcing an air of elegance as he drained the glass of red wine in one gulp. Watching Chloe twirl in her fluttering skirt, "Do you like it? This dress?" I heard Chloe's voice, her eyes brimming with satisfaction. I pleaded with Ethan Carter for ages before he finally bought it for me. Her tone carried a hint of dissatisfaction as she complained about me not giving her what she wanted. "If I had power and status like Mr. Carter, I'd absolutely treasure you like a precious gem." Clearly just a playboy's line, yet Chloe believed it easily. She straddled Leo, then lowered her head in a passionate kiss. I took a few steps back and lowered my gaze. Though my back remained straight as I turned to leave, every step sent a piercing pain through my heart. Chloe didn't notice at all. Leo wasn't looking at her with love in his eyes, just the satisfaction of his vanity. I don't know how I got back to the car. Everything I just witnessed felt like a dream, yet my emotions were oddly calm. I should have realized it long ago, but I'd kept believing. Chloe and I just had a regular argument. She quickly forgot about it, but she can't bring herself to leave the family we've built together. Noah's call came through, and I wearily rubbed my temples before answering. "Bro, where the hell are you? You just walked out of your own birthday party that you put so much effort into organizing? What were you thinking, dumping this mess on me?" Noah was practically hopping mad. "I've been covering for you with Grandma. Her heart's not doing well right now. If she hears about this, it might just kill her." Noah was chattering away incessantly when I abruptly cut off his next words. "Send them all back, we're canceling it." My voice was hoarse as I turned my head to cough several times before hanging up the phone. Then I immediately sent a message to HR demanding that Leo be fired and removed from the company. 8. It was past midnight when Chloe returned. I didn't turn on the light, just stood on the balcony smoking one cigarette after another. When the door lock clicked open, I could still hear Chloe humming a tune to herself. "Why's it so smoky in here?" Chloe mumbled, waving her hand through the air before flipping the light switch. Finding me silently standing on the balcony, she jerked with surprise. Then she managed a forced smile and stepped forward to take my arm. "What kept you up so late?" "It's my birthday today, so I went out with my girlfriends." I didn't look at her, only silently flicked my cigarette to the ground and crushed it under my foot. "What's wrong? Are you in a bad mood?" Her smile was the same as I remembered, only now it carried a hint of impatience and indifference. "Did you see the message I sent you?" Chloe lowered her head, her gaze drifting slightly as she slowly let go of my arm. "My phone broke, and I just took it in for repairs today, so I didn't see." I had just spoken to her on the phone before sending the message. "Now you can even lie to me without batting an eye." I saw everything. I took a step back, my gaze steady, struggling to contain the sorrow in my eyes. Chloe's expression shifted, her lips pressed tightly together, hesitation written all over her face. But the moment our eyes met, she suddenly became defiant. "So what? We were just celebrating a birthday in the office. It's not like we did anything unforgivable. Couldn't you just give me a little more trust?" Chloe's somewhat shrill voice echoed in my ears. Yet I simply stared at her face, twisted slightly with anger. By now I'd sobered up considerably. Time is cruel, it slowly kills the Chloe preserved in my memories. 9. Chloe gives off the impression of a well-behaved girl, whether it was during her school days or after entering society. I used to attend the same school as her, being one grade above. You could say I was her senior. I would often see her in her classroom, quietly reading alone, then suddenly bursting into laughter at something she read. The lazy afternoon sunlight spilled over her, forming a serene sanctuary in my memories. When I told Noah about it, his eyes widened so much he nearly dislocated his jaw. "Holy shit, you've got it bad. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I'd swear you were into guys." When he learned the person I was talking about was Chloe, his eyes filled with disgust. "Don't let Chloe's meek exterior fool you. That girl's got crazy written in her damn bones." Percent. Chloe is the only daughter of the Miller family. The Millers are somewhat famous in our circle,
though their wealth isn't considered top tier. But Chloe's parents are notoriously strict and traditional. Perhaps her well-behaved demeanor was cultivated through such upbringing. Yet I firmly believe that smile of hers was innate. Later, I encountered Chloe again, this time being approached by a group of troublemakers. Though trembling with fear, there was still unwavering determination in the eyes. Chloe slowly crept into the territory of my heart. When I learned Chloe was the arranged marriage partner, I agreed without hesitation. Are you even listening to me, Ethan Carter? What I hate most is your self-righteous attitude. Chloe's eyes reddened, and tears suddenly began to fall. She forced herself to stay strong, wiping away tears with the back of her hand. Clearly everything was her fault, yet she still felt wronged. In the past, whenever Chloe cried, no matter what she'd done wrong, I would always indulge her. Let's take some time to cool off. I've already packed your things, stay with your best friend tonight. I pushed the neatly packed luggage toward Chloe. She looked at me incredulously. I'll transfer the money to your card. You don't need to come to the company recently. Ethan Carter, what do you mean? Are you firing me over something this trivial? Chloe flew into a rage and hurled all the cups from the coffee table at me. I didn't dodge. The shards cut my forehead, and warm blood trickled down from the wound. Chloe was flustered at the sight and hurried forward to wipe the bloodstains, her tears still streaming down. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to. I was just so angry. We can talk things out properly. My shoulders slumped as I gripped Chloe's wrist, then gave her a gentle push away. Let's go. Chloe froze in place, then suddenly stomped her foot hard. You'd better not beg me to come back. Chloe fumed as she yanked her luggage and slammed the door violently. I watched her retreating figure. A long sigh escaped my throat. I blocked her contact and began considering a new head for the subsidiary company. This company was originally just something Chloe could play with as she pleased. If I hadn't been controlling things behind the scenes, it would have gone bankrupt long ago. From the moment Chloe truly betrayed me, I stopped considering her wishes. What was given must ultimately be returned. 11. I just didn't expect Chloe to go and complain to Grandma. When I received Noah's call in the morning, I sensed something was off about him. Grandma wants you to come home. Did you make her angry? She looks terrible. Don't worry, it's nothing serious. I made sure she took her medicine. Noah and I lost our parents to an accident when we were very young. The entire Carter household has always been managed by Grandma. She is also the last family member Noah and I have left. After witnessing Chloe's infidelity with my own eyes, I should have immediately had the lawyer draft divorce papers. But Grandma has always been very pleased with Chloe as her granddaughter-in-law. If I showed even the slightest neglect toward Chloe, Grandma would get angry. In the second year after marrying Chloe, Grandma's heart began to fail. After prolonged treatment at a major hospital, she was barely able to hold on. But as she aged, Grandma's health continued to deteriorate. This is also why I didn't file for divorce immediately. When I returned to the old house, even the housekeeper who always took care of Grandma was gone, leaving the entire place eerily empty. I hesitated at the threshold. Back then, whenever Grandma got angry, the whole household would become like this. What are you standing there for? Come in. Grandma's voice came from the living room, interspersed with occasional coughs. Upon entering, I saw her sitting on the sofa, fiddling with something in her hands. Ethan, come here. Chloe gave me an embroidery, but Grandma's eyes can't see clearly anymore. I placed all the nutritional supplements I bought for Grandma on the table. Without thinking, I took the embroidery from her hands. If you can't see clearly, don't mess with this kind of thing. What if you get pricked by the needle? Perhaps my tone was a bit abrupt. Grandma squinted and studied me for a moment. The words I had originally intended to say ultimately remained unspoken. Chloe called me this morning. I stood frozen in place with my head lowered, yet my brows had already furrowed tightly. Chloe must have come to tattle on me. Just because Grandma dotes on her, she thinks she can do whatever she wants. It's perfectly normal for couples to quarrel. If you let go of such a wonderful girl like Chloe, you'll regret it. Grandma scolded me, her face full of satisfaction toward Chloe, her granddaughter-in-law. In the end, I swallowed the words I wanted to say. If Grandma knew about Chloe's true character, she would be terribly disappointed and heartbroken. She genuinely regarded Chloe as her own granddaughter. You wouldn't believe how flustered I was when Chloe called me this morning. At her age, your grandma just wants to see you two doing well together. Who knows, there might even be a chance for her to hold a great-grandchild someday. Seeing Grandma so eagerly looking forward to the future, it made me hesitate about my initial thoughts of divorce. 12. Suddenly, there was movement outside the door. Chloe burst in with an angry expression. Before Grandma could even greet her, she threw her bag at my head. Without saying a word, she slapped me across the face. Chloe, what are you doing? Grandma's voice rose sharply, then she started coughing violently while clutching her chest. Chloe just shot Grandma a cold glance. None of your business, Grandma. I'm settling things with Ethan Carter today. Chloe's words struck me as rather inexplicable. She certainly packs a punch. I'd never noticed that about her before. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and glared sharply at her. Chloe, whatever it is, let's talk at home. Grandma is still here. Chloe let out an angry laugh,
her lips curling into a sneer as she jabbed her finger hard into my shoulder.
What's wrong? You dare to act but can't take the consequences? You murderer! Did you tell HR to fire Leo? What gives you the right to make decisions for me?
It's all because of you that Leo lost his job. With no income, he had to resort to street racing and gambling to survive.
And now he's been in a car accident. What am I supposed to do?
Chloe was already crouched on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably by the end of her speech. I just hung my head low, watching her shoulders shudder with each sob.
Grandma had stopped speaking, and I dared not look at her. What should we do? So you admit you had an affair, correct? Just some punk could steal your heart? Were all those years of cultivating yourself wasted? Since things had come to this point, I no longer cared about Chloe's feelings.
Every word pierced her heart like a sharp blade. This pushed her to the brink of collapse.
Chloe screamed hysterically. Yes, I'm cheating. What can you do about it?
I'm sick of you. You never understood what I wanted. Just kept maintaining that superior attitude of yours.
You never gave me a choice. Leo is different.
He takes me to nightclubs, to bars. I've experienced thrills I never knew before. I don't have to be submissive anymore. Don't have to play the good girl. Only with Leo do I feel free. Only then can I truly be myself.
You'll never understand, Ethan Carter.
Privileged elites like you could never comprehend Leo's struggles as an ordinary man or the despair of losing his job. Chloe gasped after delivering this tirade, plunging the entire room into icy silence.
Ethan, what on earth is going on? Grandma's voice trembled with emotion as she shakily grasped my wrist, but I couldn't bear to meet her gaze.
Chloe too seemed to finally regain composure. Seeing the distress she'd caused Grandma, who'd always treated her so kindly, a flicker of discomfort crossed her face. But when she looked at me, her tone grew heavier.
Your silence means you admit it was you who harmed Leo, right?
Just make him come back as my assistant, and we can pretend this never happened.
Ethan Carter, don't you like me? Prove it to me.
Chloe raised her chin slightly, her eyes brimming with confidence.
Apparently convinced I'd definitely save this marriage. Bring him back so you two can rekindle your romance? Do I have water in my brain to let you cheat on me right under my nose?
I was both exasperated and amused by Chloe's smug confidence. Only then did I realize how foolish I'd been before.
If you don't agree, I'll divorce you. I never want anything to do with you again.
Chloe stomped her foot, her words threatened divorce, but her eyes betrayed the truth. She was just gambling on whether I'd forgive her again. A sudden loud noise erupted from behind, startling Chloe into a scream. I whipped around to find Grandma collapsed unconscious on the floor. 13. Grandma was rushed to the hospital. Sitting numbly outside the operating room, Chloe kept bowing her head in tears, repeating apologies.
I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I never meant to upset Grandma like this. Shut up.
Possibly unaccustomed to seeing me so fierce, Chloe swallowed her words with a sob. Noah rushed over and, upon seeing Chloe, immediately stepped forward to slap her across the face. The force sent Chloe tumbling to the ground, as Noah pointed at her nose and began cursing furiously.
Disgraceful trash. My brother must be blind to have ever liked you. If anything happens to Grandma, the Millers won't get away with it.
Chloe, covering her swollen cheek, looked fearfully at Noah before hurriedly scrambling up to grab my hand. Tears welled in her eyes as she pleaded, "Please don't tell my parents. The Millers and Carters have always had such a good business relationship.
Didn't we get married precisely to maintain that alliance?"
I stared coldly at her wordlessly. Already terrified, Chloe jerked her hand back from mine.
The operating room lights went out. Noah and I both stood up nervously, only to be met with devastating news.
Grandma had suffered a sudden massive heart attack from extreme shock and had already been pronounced dead. Noah collapsed to the floor in uncontrollable sobs the moment he heard the doctor's words. Chloe's legs gave way and she knelt on the ground, her eyes hollow. Perhaps she realized her willfulness had led her to commit an irreversible mistake.
The sounds around me couldn't reach my ears.
I merely stood there dumbfounded, my heart filled with endless regret. If only I had explained things clearly to Grandma from the start, maybe she wouldn't have gotten so angry.
Maybe she wouldn't have died. My gaze shifted toward Chloe, kneeling on the ground, utterly devastated. It took me a long moment to find my voice again. The partnership between the Miller and Carter families ends here. Chloe, give me back what's yours. It's time you returned it.
Chloe's face turned deathly pale, her lips trembling as she spoke in a voice as faint as a mosquito's hum.
That wasn't what I meant. I just thought, I never meant for this to happen. She tried to hold me back, but my resolute attitude dashed her last shred of hope. Ethan Carter, don't you dare regret this. If I leave now, I'm never coming back.
14. Grandma's passing was undoubtedly a heavy blow to the Carter family. After all, she had been steering the Carter household for over half a century. Fortunately, she had gradually transferred responsibilities to me since I came of age, so taking control of the situation wasn't particularly difficult for me. After Grandma's death, Noah flew abroad and cut off all contact with me, only emphasizing repeatedly before leaving that Chloe must not be let off easily. In his heart, Chloe was the murderer who caused Grandma's death. After gaining complete control of the Carter family assets, the first thing I did was sever all collaboration ties with the Miller family. It was precisely because of this action that Chloe came to confront me. She still had the keys to our home, walking right in and opening the door in front of me. Chloe slammed the divorce papers I'd sent her onto the table. Her eyes were swollen like walnuts. She must have been crying for hours. "Do you really have to divorce me?" Her voice was hoarse, even now unable to believe I would leave her. That's right, after all, these past few years I've practically never refused any of her requests. Right now, everyone knows the Carters and the Millers are on terrible terms. She took a deep breath and pleaded with me as if compromising. "I can break up with Leo, but you have to find him a job. I've already paid his medical bills. I don't need your help with that. Once this is done, we can go back to how we were before. You came back to me because your family kicked you out, didn't you?" I shot Chloe a sidelong glance, cutting off what she was about to say next. Chloe's face immediately turned ashen. Clearly, I'd hit the mark. After all the commotion she'd caused, and with Grandma having died because of her, there was no way the Miller family would keep her around. Let alone the fact that she was the one who cheated first. How could the traditionally minded Miller family ever acknowledge her as their daughter? "Yes, it's all because of you. My dad kicked me out, disowned me as his daughter. If it weren't for you..." Chloe started crying again as she spoke, looking up to glare at me fiercely, as if I were the one who had brought her to this miserable state. "So even if we divorce, I get half of the Carter family's assets, or you walk away with nothing." Chloe's words never went through her brain. I could see the mockery flashing in my eyes. I flung all the intimate photos of her and Leo right in front of her. "I won't give you a single penny, Chloe. Or would you rather take this to court? With this evidence, do you really think you can leave me penniless? Chloe, don't push your luck. Sign the divorce papers, and we'll part ways amicably." She was completely speechless before me and ultimately fell silent. Looking at the divorce agreement in front of her, her hand trembled as she picked up the pen to sign her name. Even after finishing the signature, she kept saying, "I actually don't want a divorce. I just feel like I've never been respected by you." She dragged her luggage away with heavy steps, but I suddenly called out to stop her. A spark instantly lit up in Chloe's eyes, perhaps thinking I'd changed my mind. I rapped my knuckles on the table. "Leave my house keys behind." After Chloe left, I checked some of the things she'd taken, discovered she'd swept away every handbag and piece of jewelry I'd ever given her. She wasn't opposed to divorce because of any strong feelings for me. It was simply because I could satisfy her material needs, and Leo might just be the one she found who could fulfill her emotional needs. 15. Chloe completely vanished without a trace. Even her closest friends couldn't locate her. They even bombarded me with calls, calling me a cold-blooded and heartless person for making Chloe suffer so much. But did she ever consider my suffering when she was doing wrong? On top of that, Chloe's father came knocking at my door to seek reconciliation. Due to pressure from the Carter family, several of their businesses have encountered issues, and employees have begun to grow uneasy, losing motivation to work. If things continue like this, the Miller family will go bankrupt sooner or later. Ethan, your father, and I were old friends. After his tragic death, the Miller family has been very kind to you and Noah. Chloe did do something wrong, but I've already kicked her out of the house. She won't be coming back. She has nothing to do with the Miller family anymore. You've let off all your steam. Can we go back to our previous cooperation now? Mr. Miller's hair had turned somewhat gray, probably from worrying so much about Chloe. I've already looked into it. Before Chloe completely disappeared, although Mr. Miller didn't let her come home, he must have given her a large sum of money. Even a vicious tiger wouldn't devour its own cubs. Since Mr. Miller has already gone so far as to say such words, I agreed without hesitation. The Millers could be of great use to me, and the profits were always substantial. Money can never be fully earned, and one can never have too much of it. 16. I received Noah's invitation and flew abroad after handling my tasks. Noah hadn't contacted me for 2 years, and the first thing he did when he called was to invite me to his racetrack. "Did you come all the way abroad just to do this?" The surrounding noise made me somewhat uncomfortable as Noah and I sat together on the bleachers. Below, several race cars are speeding along. "I'm not like you, I've got no business sense. When I left in a hurry, I didn't take much money, so I just opened a racetrack. Never expected it to be such a hit." Noah's face lit up with excitement the moment he saw me, chattering nonstop about how he'd spent the past 2 years abroad. Seeing him so full of energy, I could finally set my mind at ease. "Can't you fucking drive? Is this how you play the damn game? God damn it, I lost everything." Not far away, a furious roar suddenly rang out. Noah frowned as he looked over, and following his gaze, I spotted someone who seemed vaguely familiar. What are those people doing? A crowd had gathered around a table, occasionally glancing at the match below, each one with cold sweat beading on their foreheads, shouting with necks stiff. What else can you do but place a bet? Don't worry though, things like this are perfectly legal here. That guy who was just cursing is already a regular here. He's here every day, and never wins a single time. I'm more curious about where his money comes from. Noah might have sensed my displeasure and quickly explained himself to me. I didn't respond,
just staring intently at the person recklessly placing bets. He looked so familiar, as if I'd seen him somewhere before, until a name flashed through my mind. Leo! A sharp voice suddenly rang out from behind me. Noah's face darkened as he hastily instructed the security guards to maintain order at the scene. I told you not to let her in. I thought Chloe and I would never cross paths again, yet fate brought us face to face once more. 17. Chloe's hair was slightly disheveled, and she appeared much more haggard after not seeing her for 2 years. Her eye sockets were deeply sunken, and her skin had turned sallow. She still didn't seem to notice me, breaking through the security cordon and rushing toward the stands.
Didn't you tell me you wouldn't gamble anymore? Didn't you say you'd run a proper business and take care of me? What are you doing now? I've got no more money left for you to gamble with.
Chloe's face was streaked with tears as she screamed, desperately tugging at Leo's arm to pull him away.
Noah, seeing he couldn't stop me, simply plopped down beside me to watch the show. This woman comes every day looking for her old flame, but I've been chasing her out. No idea how she keeps getting in. As he spoke, he shot me a cautious glance and casually spilled a handful of popcorn into my palm. He chuckled darkly. What goes around comes around. Enjoy the show. As I watched Chloe and Leo arguing, Noah told me something. It turns out that after Chloe disappeared 2 years ago, she eloped abroad with Leo. They planned to use her savings to start a small business overseas, but Leo had always been a worthless freeloader who never intended to work properly. Instead, he used Chloe's money to bet on street racing, dreaming of getting rich overnight. But Chloe was incompetent, and her business ventures kept failing. What's it to you? If you weren't so useless, would I need to pin my hopes on gambling to get rich? Leo mercilessly slapped Chloe across the face. All eyes around fell upon her. But you didn't say that before. Chloe stood devastated, her lips trembling as her body curled slightly with uncontrollable shivers. You actually believed what I said before? If it weren't for your money, why would I bother with you? Honestly, you're so naive, getting kicked out by your own family and husband. Pathetic. Come on. Let's keep going. Ignore this miserable hag. Look at this rich bitch throwing away her privileged life to play the victim now. Fuck that. Leo hit Chloe twice more, then completely ignored her as he lost himself in his own world again. After the beating, Chloe had no strength left, only wiping away her tears. She turned around wearily, but when she raised her head and met my scrutinizing gaze, I could feel the defenses she'd been holding up completely crumbling. Ethan Carter, she murmured my name, then quickly turned away to wipe her face, as if she didn't want me to see what she looked like in that moment. You came looking for me. She suddenly stepped toward me, hope shining in her eyes. I knew it. I've been praying every day that you'd come find me. I don't want to stay here anymore, Ethan. Take me home. I miss Mom and Dad. Chloe's appearance showed she'd been suffering for a long time. You said Leo could take you drinking at clubs. Isn't this the life you always wanted? So there's no need to go back. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Mrs. Miller got pregnant a year ago. The IVF worked. Now the Millers have their own child again. So your return would actually cause them trouble. I thought seeing Chloe again would stir emotions in my heart. Yet when it actually happened, it didn't seem to be the case. Chloe listened to my words, each sentence making her face grow paler. In the end, she nodded weakly, as if still wanting to say something, but she still looked at me with a trace of lingering affection before leaving. 19. Not long after this incident, I returned to my home country, just a few days away, and there was already a pile of things waiting for me to handle. I heard about Chloe again 3 months later. Noah gave me a call. Bro, I've closed down the racing track. There was an accident here not long ago. Remember your ex-wife, Chloe? She died in an accident at my racetrack. My fingers froze on the keyboard as I heard these words. Not long after I left, Noah began keeping tabs on Leo and Chloe. After Leo squandered all of Chloe's money, he used his handsome looks to cozy up to a wealthy local woman. Chloe was so furious she stormed off to confront them, threatening to sue Leo for fraud. In the end, they seem to have made a bet and agreed to race at Noah's Speedway. She still has that same innocent, radiant appearance. Upon hearing this news, I felt nothing beyond shock and lament. Someone I had seen just 3 months ago is now a handful of ashes. According to Noah, this happened several days ago, yet the Miller family showed no sign of it. I probably don't want to deal with Chloe's matters anymore. Compared to Chloe, Noah living well gives me more peace of mind. In my opinion, perhaps nothing is more important than one's last remaining family member. I took out a very ordinary book from the safe. Noah once saw it and called me an eccentric. Instead of keeping money in the safe, I keep a tattered old book. I remember I was so angry that I scolded him at the time, but now, perhaps it's just a tattered book to me. That afternoon from my memories has gradually faded into a mirage. That was my love long gone. I threw the poetry collection into the trash bin. It was a farewell to the past. From that moment on, there would never be a Chloe in my life again. The end.